So picture this. You have over 1 million people, all fighting for just a handful of jobs. I mean, that's the reality of India's banking exams. But what if I told you there's a blueprint, a proven strategy to not just compete, but to actually win? Well, today, that's exactly what we're doing. We're laying out that roadmap, your path to a top all-India rank. Okay, let's dive in.
And I'm not exaggerating here. I've seen some absolutely brilliant candidates miss out because of a single decimal point. Seriously. The competition is so fierce that the difference between getting the job and going home can be a tiny fraction of a single mark. This isn't just an exam, it's a game of inches. It's a high-stakes game of precision and strategy.
But here's the secret. You know, the thing that top rankers understand? That intense competition, it isn't a wall, it's a filter. And with the right plan, you can turn all that pressure into your greatest advantage. This right here, this is that plan. It's your personal guide to not just competing, but winning. Okay, so first up, our first section. It's all about understanding the beasts we're about to tame, right? We're going to break down the journey from what we call ground zero all the way to becoming a top ranker in the country. Now that we get the scale of the challenge, it's time to map out the terrain. I mean, you can't win the game if you don't understand the board. So it's time to decode this complex maze of different banking exams.
Now look at this. You see the pattern here for the officer roles? It's not a one-and-done kind of deal. Doesn't matter if it's SBI, IBPS, or the RBI. It's a multi-stage gauntlet. You've got a preliminary exam, then a main exam that usually has descriptive writing, and then a final interview or group exercise. They're not just testing what you know, they're testing your endurance, your communication skills, and your ability to think on your feet.
So this is absolutely crucial. You need to think about these two stages like a race. The prelims, that's just the qualifying heat. Your only job is to finish, to get through that screening gate. It is all about speed and accuracy. But your score here, it doesn't count for the final medal. The mains, though, the mains is the Olympic final. This is where your real depth is tested, and every single mark you get is another step towards that podium. This is the ranking arena.
All right, so we've surveyed the battlefield. Now let's talk about your weapons. This section is all about mastering the 3 foundational subjects that are going to decide whether you win or lose. For a lot of people, quantitative aptitude is the dragon they need to slay. But the strategy here isn't to just charge in blindly. No, it's a 2-step process. First, you have to build your speed engine. This isn't about solving complex problems yet. It's about forging the raw power of calculation speed. Only after that foundation is rock solid do you move on to step 2, mastering the art of arithmetic logic.
So what does building that engine actually mean? Well, it's not some vague advice. It's a specific checklist, right here. Knowing squares, cubes, tables, and especially these fraction to percentage conversions by heart, it's like having a turbo button in the exam. This lets you lock in 10 to 15 easy marks in the first few minutes, which gives you a huge time advantage to go after the real monsters in the section. Okay, let's talk about the reasoning section. This chart should be a huge wake-up call for you. Puzzles and seating arrangements aren't just one topic among many. They are the topic. We're talking nearly 60% of the entire section. Your ability to crack these complex puzzles is without a doubt the single biggest factor in your reasoning score. Period.
So how in the world do you master them? Well, it's not magic, it's a science. Each type of puzzle has its own core challenge and a very specific strategic approach. For linear puzzles, it's all about managing possibilities. You know, think of it like a game of Clue, where you're eliminating suspects and narrowing down the solution. For floor puzzles, it's about mapping out variables in a nice, structured table. And for scheduling puzzles, it's all about finding that one definite clue, that one anchor point, and building your entire solution out from there.
Moving on to the English section. Here's a strategy that is a true game changer. I mean it. If you make a daily habit of reading financial editorials from a paper like the Economic Times, it's like a secret weapon. Why? Because it hits 3 critical goals all at once. It'll boost your reading speed, it builds your vocabulary naturally, and at the same time, it prepares you for the general awareness section. It's the ultimate triple threat.
And that reading habit we just talked about? This is where it pays off big time, in the descriptive test. This whole thing is about formal communication, and the topics you'll write about, things like banking privatization or digital literacy, are the very same ones you'll be reading about in those editorials. So you won't just have the knowledge, you'll also have the vocabulary and the structure to write a high-scoring essay and letter almost effortlessly.
All right, now for what I call the ultimate rank booster,
Think about it for a second. If every single serious candidate is strong in quant, reasoning, and English, how do you break away from the pack? How do you get that decisive edge? Well, the answer lies right here in our next section.
Just look at this number, 40 plus. What does that even mean? It's not a score, it's a key. This is the number of questions in the general awareness section of the mains exam that you can answer correctly in under 20 minutes. It is the single fastest, most efficient way to pile on marks and just skyrocket your All-India rank while everyone else is still stuck struggling with a difficult puzzle.
So, what do you actually need to study? General awareness is built on 3 pillars, kind of like a classical temple. First, you've got current affairs from the last 6 to 8 months. That's the roof, it's always changing. Second, core banking and financial awareness, like understanding RBI's monetary policy. Those are your strong foundational columns. And third, static general knowledge, the facts that don't change, like national parks and country capitals. That's the solid ground everything is built.
Okay, so we've talked about the what, the subjects to master. We've talked about the why, the importance of each section. So now let's get to the how. This section lays out a concrete 16-week battle plan that turns this mountain of a task into a series of manageable, totally achievable steps. Here it is, the entire journey broken down into 3 logical phases. The first 6 weeks are all about building a solid foundation. You can't build a skyscraper on weak ground, right? This is where you master the basics. The next 6 weeks are about building velocity, going from just knowing the concepts to actually applying them under pressure. And the final month or so, it's all about simulation. You'll take full-length mock tests, and this is the most important part. You'll become a detective, analyzing every single mistake to plug any gaps in your preparation.
But even after you've conquered the written exam, the journey is not over. Not for the officer roles. There's a final gauntlet, a series of hurdles that test not just what you know, but who you are.
In the group discussion phase, you've got to think of yourself as the conductor of an orchestra, not just a soloist trying to be the loudest. Success here is about active listening, it's about synthesizing different viewpoints into a logical conclusion, maintaining positive body language, and communicating your own thoughts with absolute clarity. It's about showing you're a team player who can also.
Then comes the personal interview, where you're going to face questions just like this one. This is a classic, and the trap is to just start listing your old subjects. Don't do that. The key is to connect the skills you gained. So, an engineer might say something like, "My engineering background trained me to break down complex problems into smaller, manageable parts, a skill I believe is crucial for analyzing financial data and assessing risk in banking." You have to show them how your past isn't just your history, it's a launch pad for their future. And that really brings us to our final and most crucial takeaway. Getting that top rank, it's not just about being the smartest person in the room. It's about understanding and mastering what we call the science of selection. That's a combination of discipline, prep, strategic thinking, and the mental toughness to perform under pressure. It's a skill. And with this blueprint, it is a skill that you now have the power to master. Your journey starts now.